Okay, in this video I'm going to add our main protagonist character to the game. So I'm just going to hop over to Mixamo to get that character downloaded and bring the model into our dungeon. So I've done some looking around here and I've landed on this Girl Scout character, and I'm going to go ahead and download that in the T-pose. And for animations, I'm going to look for an idle animation. And let's see. I'm going to have this character holding a weapon. So I'm actually going to look for an axe idle animation. Standing idle. Yeah, this looks fine. So I'm going to use this one here for idle. Download that. Without skin, 60 frames. And now I'm going to look for an axe attack. Okay, I'm just going to maybe use this standing melee attack. It's kind of a downward looking attack. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. I'm going to put the overdrive here to 60. Pretty happy with that. Download. And now I need to get a walking or a running animation. Let's look for a walk here. We'll check in place for this one. And that looks fine to me. I'm going to go ahead and download that. And I want our character to be able to die, so I'm going to look for a death animation here. Okay, I'm happy with this one. I'm going to go ahead and download that. All right, and I'll go back to Unreal Engine here, and I'm just going to make a new folder and call this Girl Scout. And in that folder, I'll make another subfolder called Model. And another one here called Animations. And in the model folder here, I'm going to drag in my FBX download. I'll make sure I have create new material selected here. Okay, and we'll just have a quick look here. And as usual, I have to fix up one of these materials here. Looks like there's actually only one material, so I'll open that up. And usually we have to change the material from translucent to masked, so we'll try that out. Pretty much seemed to fix up the situation there. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, and so now next I'm going to import those animations. So I'll just go to the animations folder here and drag all of those in. Select my Girl Scout skeleton, import all. Okay, and now I'll set up a blend space here real quick. So I'm going to go animation, blend space 1D. Select the Girl Scout, and I'll call this Girl Scout walk blend. And for this one here, we want to set up our horizontal axis to be called speed, and a maximum value of maybe 250 will do. We're going to be walking pretty slow here. I'll put 5 grid divisions, and I'm going to grab the idle animation, put that at 0. Grab the walk forward animation, and I'll put that at probably 50. And I think that's pretty much it. So now we're either idle or we're walking, and this will blend based on the character's speed. So I'll close that and close this material. And next I'm going to right click, go to animation, and make a new animation blueprint. Select the Girl Scout skeleton. Call this Girl Scout anim BP, and I'll open that up. And for the output pose, going to be pretty simple here. We're going to drag in the walk blend, and I'm going to make a couple variables here. One will be speed, and I'll set that to a float. And another variable here I'm going to make is dead, and that'll be a Boolean. Okay, and so let's see, what I want to do is right click and say blend bool, and we'll get this blend poses by bool, and the active value is going to be is dead, so I'll drag that in. And if it's let's see, okay, we'll plug that into the output, and if is dead is false, then we'll get our walking blend. And if is dead is true, then we want to play dying. And I'm going to select not to loop the animation. We only need to play that one time through. And now we need to just set up our speed variable on the event graph to drive this walking blend. I'm going to set this also to a blend time of maybe 0.3 and 0.3, blend in, blend out. Okay, to the event graph, I just drag off this try get pawn owner, say is valid. And if it is, we drag off the get pawn owner, say get velocity. And then we can set our speed variable. And we need a float here, so I'll take my velocity here, say vector length, and plug that float into speed. Okay, now I need to make a character blueprint for this Girl Scout character. So I'm going to delete this skeletal mesh I dragged in. Right click, say blueprint, new character, Girl Scout underscore char. And for the mesh here, we'll select the Girl Scout mesh, and I'll turn it, I think 270 on the Z, minus 90 on the position. And for the animation blueprint here, I'll select to use the Girl Scout NMBP. And I think that's good for now. Let's just drag that character in here. And in the details here, I'm going to search for possess. And I'll select here auto possess player and select player 0. Okay, so at this point, if I press play, I should be possessing this character, and I fall right through the floor. And okay, so I fell through the floor because there's no collision on the floor. So I'm going to go to Dungeon Parts, and I need to select the floor static mesh, open that up, and it's all displaced here because we've scaled it up, but don't need to worry about that. I need to go to Collision and add Box Simplified Collision. And it's just made a box around the whole displaced area here, so I'm going to grab that and I'm just going to lower that down a little, something like that. Save, and we'll try again to play and see if we don't fall through the floor. All right, perfect. So we're in possession of our character here, but we need to set up a camera. So I'm going to go back to my Girl Scout character blueprint here, and I'll add a spring arm, and on the spring arm I'll add a camera. Okay, and we'll try this out. All right, now we're behind the character a little bit, and it's still really dark in here, and I'm just going to make an adjustment. I think in the lighting, by adjusting the brightness on the post-process volume. Yeah, and I tried to change this max brightness, which intuitively you would think would help us with our maximum brightness. Really, I needed to change this min brightness, and so let's see here. If I hit play, we'll take a look at the overall lighting, stop, and change this to say 0.4. And we can see right away in the viewport a little bit of change here. I'll hit play, and that's quite a bit better. We're getting a little bit of exposure effect here to light up the surrounding meshes that aren't quite receiving full-on light from these fixtures. Okay, so we're getting good progress here. What I need to do now is set up some controls. So I have no mouse controls, no keyboard controls, and we need to set that up quick. So I've gone over all this in detail as well in another video, so I'm not going to go too much in detail as I go through this. I'm just going to set it up. So I'm going in the character blueprint to the event graph, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to say mouse X. Drag, click for this mouse X event, right click, type in mouse Y, and get the mouse Y event. And for the mouse X and Y, so that's sideways and up and down, I want to affect our controller rotation. So I'm going to right click and say yaw input, add controller yaw input. I'll plug that into the mouse X and the axis value to the value. Right click here and pitch input, and I'll plug that into mouse Y. And I know from previous experience I need to reverse this. I'm going to multiply the value here by -1 before plugging it in, so that'll invert the behavior of the up and down axis of the mouse. And now I want to set my spring arm here to use the pawn control rotation. And for my character itself, we want to set to not use the controller rotation yaw. And in the character movement, I need to set orient rotation to movement. All right, and now I need to set up my keyboard controls. So I'm going to go to Edit, Plugins. Whoops. I meant to go Edit, Project Settings, and Input. And I'm going to make 2 new axis mappings here. And I'll call these Let's see, movement on the forward axis. And the other one here I'm going to call movement on the right axis. Okay, and for both of these I need a second control, so I'll hit the plus button there. And the forward axis is going to be the W key for a scale of 1, and the S key with a scale of -1, so go the other direction. And on the right axis, we'll use D, and the D key will be scale of 1 to go in the right direction, and then A will have a scale of -1 to go opposite of right, so the left direction. All right, so I'll close that and just right-click back in the character blueprint, type in movement forward, grab this movement forward axis event, and I'll right click again and type movement right axis, grab the movement right axis event. And for these here, I'm going to get the control rotation, split the pin, make a rotator, plug in just the Z value. From that, get the forward vector, or get the right vector. And then I'm going to add movement input. And if we're moving on the forward axis, we will move along the forward vector by the amount of the axis value. And I'll Control W to duplicate that. And if we're moving on the right axis, then we'll move on the right vector by the amount of the axis value. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to check it out. Okay, I'll click in the window and I've got full mouse action here, able to pan around and pitch. And W, S, A, and D. Okay, perfect. Well, almost perfect. So we need to just plug in our animation blueprint here. We're not getting our speed variable, so it's not updating our walking animation. Something's happening here. Let's check it out. Okay, first thing I want to do is go to character movement component and search for max walk speed. And instead of 600, I'm going to change that to 250. And I also want to go to acceleration. I'm going to change this to about 500. And deceleration, change that to about 500. And I'm going to type in here braking and go use separate braking friction. And I'll put in a 1 for that braking friction amount. And okay, back in the anim BP here, we've got our speed variable being set by the velocity. So I don't think I must not have plugged that into the blend space. Go back here to the animation graph. And yes, here's our walking blend. Nothing's plugged into the speed. So I need to drag this speed variable here. And now we're plugged in. This should work. All right, not too bad. I'd like to change the blend speed here from walking to idle. Seems a little bit abrupt, so I'm going to adjust that. Okay, next thing I want to do is give our character a weapon. And so for me, I'm going to actually just use a weapon from the Epic Marketplace, from the Infinity Blades Infinity Weapon Collection. So I'm just going to open up my Marketplace, or Epic Games Launcher, I should say. And I've already searched here in my Vault. I've already downloaded this before. It's a free download. Anybody can get this. And I'm going to add this Infinity Blade weapons to my project. Okay, so now I've got a new folder in my project here, Infinity Blades weapons. And I'm just going to open up the weapons folder and go to, let's see here, Blade. And there's a ton of weapons in here. I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to go to Silly Weapons, grab the Bat Axe. And I think I want to use this weapon. So what I'm going to do is just drag this whole folder here, this blade underscore bat axe folder, and drag it to my main content folder. Move here. And now I can grab the Infinity Blades weapons root folder and delete it. I'm not going to use any of the rest of this stuff, so I don't want this bloating up my package. I'm going to delete this. Okay, now I've cleaned that up here. And speaking of cleaning up, you know, what I want to do here just for a minute is clean up my outliner here. I'm just going to go ahead and make a new folder called Dungeon, let's say, Parts. And I'm going to just grab, let's see here, all these components like the floor and the pillars and these prefabs. I'm going to grab all these and the wall sections here. Just drop them all into Dungeon Parts. And I'm going to make another folder here called Props. And another one called Decals. Grab the blood spatters into Decals. And we'll grab all these props here into Props. And these extra 2-point lights we made, I'm going to put them into Dungeon Parts. Okay, and this light source is our editor only light source. Editor only light source. Okay, so that's much cleaner. We've got our Girl Scout character, our post-process volume, and all of our dungeon parts are organized like that. Okay, so moving on with the character's weapon here. So I'm going to go to my character blueprint, go to the viewport, and I want to select my character mesh and say add a skeletal mesh. I'll call that weapon. And I'll set the skeletal mesh here to the bat axe mesh. And I want to select a parent socket here. I'm going to select hand, right hand. Okay, so that almost snapped right into the right hand here. I'm just going to make some adjustments, and I like to turn off real time. Okay, and I'll just adjust the bat here into the hand. Looks like maybe a little rotation will help here. Oops. Okay, and I'm just going to rotate this maybe like that. Fairly happy with this. Let's take a look. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I want to set up control to be able to swing the weapon. And so I'm going to go to the character blueprint here, go to the event graph, and I'm going to right click and type in left mouse button. We'll just use the primary left mouse button as our attack. And when we press that, let's see. So what I want to do here is go to the Girl Scout folder, the animations folder, and standing melee attack. I'm going to select this, right click, say create an anim montage, and I'll call this attack underscore montage. And actually I better call that Girl Scout attack montage. Okay, and we want to play that when we click. So what I want to do here is let's say right click, get anim instance. Okay, so we've got the mesh, got the anim instance, and from the return value I need to cast to the Girl Scout anim BP. Okay, so that's our animation blueprint, and we need to drag from that and say play montage. Montage play. Okay, and select the Girl Scout attack montage, and I think that's pretty much it for now. So I'll just check that out. And no action. Okay. That'll be because in the animation blueprint, between the logic here and the output pose, I need to right click and put in a default slot. So this is essentially our montage player. This is going to play whatever's present in the default slot of the montage, current montage. Compile and play, and left click. All right, and we're swinging. So this is good. So far we can wander around here, and we can swing our axe. Okay, so now we need something to swing our axe at. So the next step I'm going to do here is add a enemy or a character, a creature character, something that we can attack. Okay, but I think I'm going to save that for the next video. And for this video, I'm just going to wrap it up here. And just before I do wrap it up, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just add a few more of these props around the dungeon and just make a handful of little adjustments here. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and I'm going to wrap up this video here, and we'll get into making our enemy character in the next video. Thanks for watching.